All right, so this is the quick way to learn jazz improvisation. And if you're just starting, this will save you years of nonsense. You can, study Charlie Parker, study Bill Evans, study other bebop players and extract the principles. Or you can just listen to what I'm going to tell you now and just start writing your own stuff and have your own voice outside of the gate. So in this case, we're going to be playing in D major. And then I'm going to play that scale from E to E. And then I'm going to put down my vanilla 1-3-5-7 chord here. And I'm going to use this as just a basic voicing for demonstration purposes. And so what we're going to start out doing is writing a sequence over the 2 chord in this key of D major. So I'm going to play all 12 tones. I'll just start on E and I'll go up. And then let's say I got here and I like this tone. So this is one of the chord tones. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 relative to E. Okay? And so let's say that I want to start the sequence on this tone. Okay, so now here are the general rules, and there are no hard and fast rules in jazz, but these are general bebop principles, and I'll tell you what it is now. You want to have chord tones on downbeats, and then passing tones or chromatic tones or non-scale tones on upbeats. And so I'll show you what I mean by that. So again, I like the 9th. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get to the 5th next. Okay, so I have this first beat, 1, and now the most common motion in jazz is 8th note motion. So I'm going to try to fill this bar with 8 notes. So starting out, I hear the 9th, and then I'm going to put a chromatic neighbor tone below the 5th to resolve to the 5th on the next downbeat. So 1 and 2, right? And then I see that the 3rd is right here, so why not pass through the 11th or the 4th to get there? So, okay, so 1 and 2 and 3, right? And now next, I need to get to another chord tone, right? So what happens if I play this? Okay, that's kind of nice. That's another 9th again. So what I can do is put a lower chromatic neighbor tone here to get to that one. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and now I have one more tone to get to the next chord in a logical, real-world setting sequence of chords. So let's take this 2, let's add a 5 in, the A7, going to D major, and then we're going to resolve it to D major. So now I'm going to take that, what was a bar of just E minor, and I'm going to put E minor and A7 into it, and then put D major after that for the resolution. So here we go. So on the 4 end there, I got to the E, and then I jumped up to the 5th on the D major 7, okay? And I could have easily gone to the 3rd, right? But I thought the 5th would be more interesting, so I played that. So notice in that sequence that basically I am targeting a chord tone, in this case, some extended chord tones with the 9ths on each downbeat. And then I'm finding tones to fill in on the upbeats to target those downbeats. So that is in essence the principle of how bebop is played, okay? And so, that's just one sequence. That's just one arbitrary sequence that I just wrote. Let's go to a different key. Let's say F minor, for instance. Or not F minor, but the 2 chord in the key of E flat major, which is F minor 7. So let's just say that I like the 11th there. And then I want to go maybe to the 9th next. Well, I have this passing tone here, so I could use that. And what if I want to go? You notice how I put a chromatic neighbor right there, and then I'm kind of iterating on that 9th. And then maybe I want to go to the root next. 1 and 2 and 3, and 1 and 2 and 3. So you could do that. And then what if I wanted to get to the 7th next? Well, then I can just do a chromatic tone above that to get to that. And that one's a little claustrophobic, but I'm just demonstrating the principle of how this works, you know? And so what you want to do is you want to write one of these out and then play it ideally in all 12 keys. But if you're lazy, what you can do is you can take the circle of fifths and divide it into 4 segments. And so for instance, I could take C, E flat, G flat, and A. And then since we were working in a minor 7th context, I would play the 2 chord for each one of these and then play my line over that. And then over time, what that does is you get acclimated to like these colors and where they are and how they're gonna sound over various chord qualities. And there's really just no other way around it. Like, you know, you can either study other people's licks or you can just write your own licks and get this facility into your playing. But it's fun when you do it this way because you're using these principles and they're just sort of like an algorithm that can like make different lines happen whenever you want. So another thing to note is that in jazz, lines do not often do not start on downbeats. So often there are not 8 notes to a bar, but there's forward motion and a little bit of swing that's brought in by not playing things like strictly on the 1. So in order to practice that, you can either write lines that are fragmentary to a bar or start on ands, or you can take a sequence like this. I played that a little differently, but just ignore it. And you can start extracting notes. So I'm gonna take the first note out of that so that we start on 2 and. So now I need to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So you can see there. And you can see that that brings some swing motion and some forward motion into the playing because it's like ba-ba, like that, right? Instead of dot, 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 like robotically on each 8th note of the bar. So that's the quick way to start learning jazz, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.